Listen up here. The restaurant industry is grueling and unpredictable, just like this show, from the front of the house to the back of the house and all in between. We will turn up the heat, you turn up the volume. I'm Chef Antonio Caruana. Welcome to the Tell All Podcast, The Burnt Hands Perspective.
This podcast contains explicit and potentially offensive material. You've been warned. Now buckle up, bitches. Let's go.
Marijuana.
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah. See, you got her attention real
Marijuana.
quick. We got all your attention now.
Say it with me. Marijuana.
Marijuana.
Is that going to be in the topic at all today?
So that is the topic today.
Oh, that is the topic.
I think that the topic today is something a lot of people are going to be interested in, because I've got my girl here today who is one of the best in the industry when it comes to cannabis cooking, formulations, and everything that involves cooking on high, which we will get into. So please, my darling, introduce yourself.
Hi there, all. Literally, hi there. I hope you all are happy and merry this fine holiday. My name is Edible Dee, a.k.a. The Happy Chef. That's what THC stands for.
The Happy Chef.
The Happy Chef.
Coming at you, live and direct, with her boots on.
With my boots, yes.
Yeah,
with your red ass boots and looking hot.
So the best part about this is, let me tell you a quick story. 1997, 96, something like that.
Okay.
I never smoked anything. I still, to my life, have never smoked weed.
Really?
Never smoked
Okay.
a cigarette.
Oh, my
never
God.
smoked-
She's
never-
like,
Challenge accepted.
Never smoked it ever in my life. So
I'm
I
an
just,
Eddie
for some
girl
reason,
myself.
it's like me going into the damn water and drinking the water and expecting my lungs to work. It just never made sense. I just never got into it. I couldn't do it. So
okay.
here's the deal. I thought it would be cool to take some of my buddy's weed, just put it in some marinara sauce, cook it. It didn't fucking work, right? So I thought that would work, right? What did I know back then? This is in the early 90s,
Yeah.
mid-90s. So cooking with weed wasn't even really a thing then. I was a chef then too.
No.
So I'm like, I took a bunch of the weed, a bunch of buds, and put it in there. I made a marinara, almost like it was basil. And I thought, if I eat this shit, how can I not get high? How can it not get high? I'm going to ingest it somehow, right? But why didn't it work, chef?
It didn't work because you didn't decarb it, man. I'm sorry.
Decarb.
You got to decarboxylate the herb. Got to activate.
But it's in there, though.
Well, you see, you got to activate it. So, all right, you have to activate the compounds by heat. So you do that when smoking, when you light it on fire, right? So you light it on fire, and then you get high from the inhalation. That's how the medicine gets into your body, through your lungs into the bloodstream.
So it's an oil, basically, breakdown.
Well, yeah, there's oil and resin in the herb,
Sure.
right? So when you light that on fire, that's what decarboxylates it for you when you inhale it from, like, the consumption of inhalation, okay? I have to decarboxylate the oil after I extract it, so that it's activated before I put in the food, before I cook it or infuse it into anything I make.
So you're rendering, basically.
Yes.
And extracting oils.
Correct.
Those oils are live, and that's what's going into the food.
Correct.
So what was wrong with my sauce that I was making?
Already dried and
What happened? Why did that not extract?
There's a lot of variables that could happen. Like, it could have been that the herb was too dry or lower potency, because when I extract it, I'm literally when I extract from the plant matter, it goes from 25 to 30% to up to high 90s. So I'm working with literally the highest potent gold out of the babies.
The best quality, the best results.
Exactly.
Obviously.
And so when you're working with the herb, you could have had it over cured, it could have been over dried, it could have been a lower potency. Also, you probably didn't cook it long enough to decarboxylate it to actually make those compounds active, which that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you work with like EFAs, like essential fatty acids, and you like suspend the oil into like hemp seed oil, you're still getting all the healing benefits of the cannabinoids and of the compounds for your body. You're just not getting the high. So you're getting the anti-inflammatories, you're getting the antioxidants, you're getting all the beautiful things.
That's how these CBD oils and stuff are legal and working.
Yes, that's
and
one of the
you're not getting
compounds, one of the many in there. There's quite a few, especially when you get into terpenoids and flavonoids and going on. And that's kind of what differentiates the plants and like the strains, whether it's cannabis sativa or cannabis indica, or when you're working with a hybrid. It's all about the compounds that make everything.
So when you're
it's a lot of science, y'all.
Weed
a lot of
science.
science.
Yeah.
Weed science.
But in order to have this weed science, you have to have cooking knowledge.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great. You know
You
how
have to bind it. You have to bind it with the fat.
You
Yeah.
have to make it bind. You have to make the fats work, the acids work. I'm sure there's some acids that go against it. You need to learn that.
and they change the compounds as well as your
Control
body.
the fruit, like
As
fruit
well,
too.
Yeah, as well as your body, because when you do inhalation, right? That's THC. Okay, when you ingest it, the liver changes the THC into what's called 11-hydroxy-tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay,
That's what she said.
so
Say that fast.
I'll say it again.
With your boots.
11-hydroxy-tetrahydrocannabinol. All right. So when you have that, that literally is what makes cannabis that much more potent and lasts that much longer. It's why, like, you know, it's the variable of like I smoke and I'm high for 3 hours versus I ate an edible and now I'm stoned and asleep for 2 days, depending on the edible. You know.
Okay.
So I can make it last. I can dose you to where it lasts from 6 to 8 hours, or you can overindulge and then you had a really good night's sleep. But you're gonna be fine. You're gonna wake up happy and safe.
It's all going to work out in the end.
Exactly. It all works out in the end.
So you had to work with some chefs to get that knowledge of that stuff. I'm sure it just didn't come to
did.
you. And I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't start as a chef or anything and then moved into weed.
No, we bartended.
No, me and this beautiful woman right here, we bartended. And I was assistant manager of Scotty Quick's back then as a restaurant on Granby Street. And I worked with Jamie Carell, and I was actually infusing then.
Yeah.
Of course, fracturing every law or two, because this was back in 2000.
Yeah, it was before, but you have to tell
Before
them
laws
why.
were a law.
Oh, yeah. Well, I still, when I got into the industry and I moved west, I still, you know, we were doing what we were doing in the medical market, and we didn't have labs. So literally, when I started, I used to just write my edibles as ×4, super strength. You know, there was no milligrams or any of that because we didn't see the lab tests. So like when the labs opened, when Steep Hill opened in 2015, we all had to get really good, really fast, or we couldn't sell. Because the second that the states got hold of it and regulations got a hold of it, if you had 30,000 gummies in that batch and every 30,000 gummies were not at 10 milligrams, you could not sell.
So you had to be,
and that's expensive.
You had to get technical quick.
Very fast.
Educated.
Well, I think that people need to know, though, why did you start in that? Because that's, you know, I mean, kind of the origin story of why you started cooking with cannabis.
I was always more of a weed girl. I was always more of a green girl, along with my sister. Actually, the first pot brownies I ever made was with my best friend Dory Nahi, now Dory Bailey, and and my sister Amber. And my sister got diagnosed with lupus, and you know, because of her job, she couldn't. Like, she had to stop doing cannabis, which is, you know, lupus with anti-inflammatory properties. Like, cannabis, it could have been so healing for her, but because of legalities and everything, she was on steroids. She was on all kinds of medicine. She ended up dying from a lethal dose of prescription drugs that should not have been combined together.
Oh, that's horrible. Here.
And you know, then I became probably the worst version of myself. I became a very heavy alcoholic, which was very easy to do working at a bar. Mm-hmm. And oh God, I went to the hospital. My kidneys. I mean, I was even drinking Rumple Mints. I called it bartender's mouthwash. You couldn't tell that I was drunk, guys. No one can tell.
No one knew.
No one knew that was Rumple Mints.
No one knew. And you know, I hit it well. And then you know, when I went to the hospital, I kind of woke up and I decided, I was like, you know what, I want to go out west. People are doing this out west. People are doing what it's the only thing I'm good at. There's two things I really learned in life. You can't help who you fall in love with, and you can't help what you're good at. And I was really good at what I did. And
Can you help being good at falling in love?
I stopped that now.
She just got off that train. So
I'm full of self-love. I'm all about loving yourself, being happy with yourself.
Sure.
You do not need another human to make you happy at all. Just weed can do that.
That's a fact. So
that's your man.
That's your girl.
Girl.
To call yourself a chef, the happy chef.
The happy chef.
You have to involve yourself with people who expect a lot out of you. Everyone's expecting you high. So that's the easy part, I guess, right? Getting high is easy.
The recreational market is very easy.
So how do you?
The medicinal market is a little challenging.
Sure.
And like I was telling you, like I could also isolate compounds. So you work with like distillation, and when you're like microwave terpene extraction, when you isolate all the compounds, like to make it just CBD, which is more legal and safe, or you have just CBN, which is great for like sedation and like nighttime. You can isolate those compounds, and again, like I said, suspend them in an essential fatty acid like hemp seed oil, and then the patient can get all the benefits like that would make a Parkinson's patient or an epilepsy patient stop shaking without actually getting stoned, so that they can do their day-to-day every day without actually getting blasted.
When you pull out a compound,
that's what's hard.
Getting
people high is easy.
Right. So when you pull out a compound and get rid of those elements that make one high, right? Is there a byproduct that can get you high from that, or is that wasted? Is that
if I activate it, absolutely.
Okay, so
but I could also remove it.
So right, so guess what I'm saying is here's I guess a bud, hypothetically, right?
Okay.
And you extract what you need out of that to get the compound you need to get the what you're going for, non-high, right? Is there leftover or really good residual shit from that you can get blown away from, or does it all go into that and that's just the way you went with
when you're dealing with a really good happy chef or a very good weed chef, or canna chef as we call ourselves, nothing goes to waste.
Okay.
We keep everything.
Like a chef house.
And that's why my partnerships ended up being so good. Like my claim to fame, my first cookbook that I wrote, which was the Happy Chef Expert Cannabis Cookbook, I did a collaboration with B-Real of Cypress Hill, and I worked with him and all the Cypress Hill B-Real TV, Dr. Green Thumb family, and I worked with his master grower, which is named Kenji Fujishima. I know that's a mouthful too. But
the good
Kenji,
thing is I've heard of this name. So
Kenji, he's a boss. He's an OG. That is my brother. And like working with him, he would always say, I grow it and she makes it expensive. Because the thing is when they grow it, they can only sell it as smokables, right? And they'll take like the bottom bits and they'll make the pre-rolls, for all the lazy people that don't know how to roll a joint or don't want to roll a joint. And then you have like the eighths, the ounces, etc. But then what do you do with everything else? What do you do with it? No one's going to buy herb to roll up if it's not, trimmed right, perfect, the beautiful, like your frosty nugs.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to sell it. So what do? You give it to the chef. And then I can turn it into XYZ products and make hundreds of different products out of everything that's left over.
So basically what you used to call shake back in the day
Exactly.
is shake and bake.
I shake and bake.
Shake and bake,
Wild
baby.
baked.
Chicken in there, shaking and bake.
Wild baked.
So
Double baked.
You mentioned working with Cypress Hill and Be Real. These guys are these are legendary names in the hip hop scene, and anyone who follows hip hop like myself, and even if you don't, you know who they are.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to work with them probably puts you in line or in front of some serious people in the industries.
Oh yeah.
Including chefs in the restaurant.
Right? Oh yeah, Guy Fury. He was awesome. I love that fool. He was so great.
So you have a lot of. That's what I'm asking you next. I guess your connections with the culinary world.
Yeah.
Where'd you go? How did you ever fall in love with that and kind of go that way a little bit, or was it always about the weed?
Always. And I chefs. If you're a friend with a chef, you'll never go hungry.
Fact.
And everybody loves a weed chef. And so I lived in Las Vegas, which is like food capital of the world. Every best restaurant opens up a location in Vegas. I was spoiled. Like, oh, Happy Chef is here. Did you bring me anything? Of course I did, chef. No worries.
Sure.
Oh, here's some crab meat and crab legs. And
yeah, of course.
I got to know tons of amazing chefs throughout the city. And then I also got to work with a lot of amazing artists. I got to work on Snoop Dogg's network, on Mary Jane. I did a show with him called Smoke in the Kitchen. Mm-hmm. I made my bacon weave grilled cheese and stoner spice cider. That was a very delicious combo.
And you were on TV on a show as well.
Yes, Cooking on High.
Cooking on High, which we've seen.
It's like a reality show, and for people who haven't seen it, like same as any cooking competition, but it was fun. And
yes.
I obviously, like, again, I'm the same as Tony. Like, it's not like and you've tried for 20 some years to try and get me high, and it's still like I'm good.
There's some friends like her, and she can call me, and I'll be in Amsterdam. Hey, all right, Dee, I'm totally ready to get high now. I will fly to you.
Back.
I will fly my.
Like she's gonna do it.
It's time. My biological clock is ticked.
Oh my God!
I'm coming because I want to. Well, one, I want to be the first one that doses you, and it's because I am a professional. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I know how to dose you right.
So
Everybody's, but everyone's
that
had
right
a bad
there.
edible experience.
Sure.
Yes, people don't understand
I've
that.
had to speak on panels to keep edibles around for like the last 10 years because they almost banned us for like child-friendly molds or whatever. It's all about the children. Like they're putting weed candy in your Halloween. No one is getting rid of their edibles to your children on Halloween.
Expensive.
It's too expensive. So, and if the kid got into it, that is your fault. Just like keep your booze away. Keep
your guns locked up.
Keep your guns locked up.
Keep your weed edibles away. Keep your cocaine in the sock drawer. Stop fucking around.
Like it's crazy, but to watch you develop with the science of everything, because it was like, and I didn't understand it, and I told him, like, again, I'm not a marijuana person. I like alcohol. That's always been my thing. But when you talk about it, it makes me excited because there is science. And when she was like, well, you have to have this dose, and if you eat an apple before this shit, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't understand any of it.
What you eat definitely affects your high. What you eat, which is why I love the whole culinary aspect of it, because of terpenes, and because there's terpenes in food. Like there's beta-caryophyllene, which is in black pepper, right? Okay. And then there's like myrcene, which is in mangoes, and you have like limonene, which is in like citrus foods and stuff. So when you're working with that, you could actually enhance. It's almost like I call them enhancements. So if I'm working with all my products are organic. So I'm working with organic flavors. So I have organic mango that I add in. That organic mango pumps up that medicine like times 3.
And it's
Y'all
good
know
to
that?
hear
Stronger.
Did y'all know that?
from a
No,
chef's
nobody
perspective.
knew that here.
From a chef's perspective, it's good to hear you speak about all these all these terms and stuff, because as a chef, we speak them, and to hear you talk about it, knows you know what you're talking about when it comes to the food scene and using the word chef, because people don't understand the science going into it. There's a lot to it. It'd be like if I had to grow my own herbs and then turn them into the food. I have the luxury of turning it into food. You have to have, weed doesn't just pop up. You can't just put a planter full of basil outside in a weed plant. And if you could, somebody would steal it as soon as it was ready anyway.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many things that you have to do to build from being a bartender at Scotty Quick's to the knowledge you have now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on there. How many years is that span?
2006 to
Almost
now.
Yeah.
I'm not giving away my age, guys. Weed takes me back. I'm going back in years now.
Sure, yeah.
Like Benjamin
Right.
Button on that. Yeah,
Right.
it's okay.
Benjamin, that's what weed does. Keeps you young, because weed cures stress and anxiety, and that shit will age you.
Yeah.
Do you
True.
get, when you go through these things and find, are you dealing with the government a lot more now that there's so many people involved? Are the amount of people coming in diluting it, making it more hard for you because
Yes.
they have to put more,
Oh,
imply
yes.
more rules and bullshit?
Yeah, yes, and it's also taken the quality down. Like, and that's one of the main reasons why I came back to the East Coast, because the West Coast got so oversaturated because the government in the states, when it went recreational, everyone gets greedy, and then they give out too many licenses, and then we have all these, we call them Chads. Chads are like your Karens, but they come into the industry and they have no idea what they're doing, and they hire the best, and then they don't listen to you per se, and they just care about making money. They just care about the bottom dollar.
Yeah.
So the quality of the cannabis goes down, and they start making what I call like Walmart weed. It tastes like cardboard. It's overcured, dried. It has no, has no love in it. And then I got the honor of working with craftsmen, like craft cannabis artisans, like hash makers, like Frenchy Cannoli. Like you work with these legends that really care about what they do, and then you have like the Walmart versions that have just taken over. And so they gave out so many licenses that the mom and pops places started closing down. And now it's just those big corporate names. And when they did that, like now more of the craftsmen are moving to the East Coast because it hasn't gotten tainted yet. Okay. And some states, like Florida, who that's my 19th kitchen that I built is in Florida, I feel like they're doing it right. They kept it medical. Because it's easy to get a medical card these days, like with what agriculture and the government has done to our food. Everybody has an
That's a whole
ailment.
other story.
Everyone has an ailment.
That's another
that
podcast.
cannabis can help, if they choose it, because it is your choice, and everyone should deserve that choice.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be on that pharmaceutical. I don't want to be on those benzos. I want anti-anxiety that isn't going to give me all these other problems.
Side effects.
And
So
they should have it.
You would think, or I would think, that somebody in your position, without knowing the details, would be anti-government. Do you find yourself you're pro-government because you want to help them help
Ooh,
you?
that is a bombshell question.
So, I mean, there's a point in time where you're younger and you're like, fuck the government, fuck that, fuck this, we're going to do
Yeah.
this. And then there's a point where all these Chads come along and the Chads start pushing you out a little bit. But the good news on that is you're always going to be worth more than them, and it's always going to come back around.
They always come back.
It's going to come back
Yeah,
around.
you
So,
know that.
but back to the government thing. Are you finding yourself as you grow in this with your knowledge, experience, being more of a liaison with the government, or are you still saying fuck the government type of attitude? How does that work?
We just have never, since our founding, really had that great of a relationship with our government, though. That's kind of why the Declaration of Independence was even, written on hemp paper to even begin with.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, prohibition happened. They bastardized it. It used to be like how every farmer had to grow hemp and cannabis, and which is why there's endocannabinoid systems. It works great with when they start using it for animal feed, that's really going to change the game.
Right.
But I would like to be able to have the government do the right thing. It would be awesome. I just haven't seen them do it yet. I'm curious to see what this new administration is going to do with the food, with what RFK keeps talking about.
The initiatives,
I'm going to wait for that before I really answer that question.
Sure.
We're going to have to do another podcast.
Do you ever find, we will, do you ever find yourself, I guess what I'm getting at is, do you find yourself wanting to guide them to give them the information they're lacking?
Yes.
Because you know they are.
Yes, I've had to speak with general assemblies just to kind of have them adopt the regs, because they're trying to figure it out, and they're just like everybody else. Oh, we don't want to ask for help. We're just, no, there's states that we already know what works and what doesn't. I know what sells and what doesn't, and I know what works and what doesn't. We know the proper way to do it, and we know that you're trying to cut corners. So don't cut corners. You can't reinvent the wheel. It's not done. This is the way. And, it would be nice if they hired more consultants as like the state government would do that to actually do it right.
What type of foods do you cook? Now, back to this, I'm just getting the chef thing on my mind.
I know, he's excited about the food.
So what type of foods do you consider? Like when I'm thinking about infusions, I'm thinking about you coming in here and we do an actual dinner and infuse real food.
I'm down.
I'm talking about prime cuts of meat,
cook.
demi-glace, all that stuff. That's what I'm talking about. So, but on the normal spectrum of food, what is it a weed chef is really producing that's turning the profit you need to make to continue on moving? Where's the popularity rest really?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because that would be nice when that kind of door opens. But right now, I make ready-to-eat food. And so shelf-stable gummies are always the top seller, high seller. I do tinctures, tonics. I do beverage enhancements. Fruit leathers. Pretty much anything that's packaged ready to eat that has a shelf life between 6 months and a year. That's what I do.
Style
I
stuff.
stay away from baked goods because the oil actually dries it out, and I am such a perfectionist if that brownie is not moist and delicious when it comes out and you get it and it's dry, because it does. Like the shelf life on baked goods is like 2 months.
Wow.
And for a soft cookie, it's like 2 months. If it's a hard cookie, 4.
Okay.
And that shelf I don't like those. I don't like that timeline.
Yeah.
So I stay away from baking, and I do mainly confections. But we do a lot of dope dining and like a lot of catering and stuff like that.
But you do that,
I would
dressings.
like to see restaurants start opening, like infusion restaurants, even with CBD. I would like them to have even non-alcoholic beverages that are infused, because say you don't want to drink, or I'm a light drinker. I'm a one and done kind of girl. But if I want to go out and do something social, I could drink a hell of a lot of weed.
Yeah.
So us speaking about an infused dinner is not off the table.
No, definitely not.
Now, would that be something they walk out half lit off their ass, or is it something?
If you dose it right, we do like a 5-course meal, and we kind of do like a more of a microdose thing, so that by the end of the dinner, they're dosed no more than like say 15, 20 milligrams.
I want to get in on this.
Right? I know, it's fast. Like,
again,
it's fascinating to me. And if I would ever trust anyone in the world, I would trust you.
That's why I said that's why I want to be your first. I want to be
She
your
wants to
first.
be my
I want to
first.
dose
You
you
wanna
right.
pop my cherry.
I don't trust
That's
any.
okay.
No.
So tell me about this. You have Be Real, and who else have you worked with of high profile?
Oh goodness, that's a long list. Let me see. I worked with Dana Rockwilder. I met with him with Missy Elliott. He worked with Method Man and Redman, both great guys. I worked with Snoop, as I said. Guy Fieri, George Clinton, the Parliament Funkadelic. I toured with them
must have been a rig.
Dude.
That's a rig
George
right
and the
there.
P-Funk. Shout out to all y'all. Benzel, I love you. Scotty, I love you. Starchild, George. Like, George puts on a better show in his 80s than half of the 50-year-old
'cause
rappers
he's got
I know.
knowledge, bro.
And it's fun. We want the funk. Gotta have that funk. Ow. he's every platinum banger was ever made by that man. I mean, it's
course.
Atomic Dog. That's where Snoop Doggy Dog even came
Right.
from.
All the samples.
All the samples.
Hooks,
And he's
samples,
so
everything.
there's a good
Well,
fun
and living
family.
in Vegas helped because you did
Oh,
VIP
yeah. And then
out there.
everybody was there. Like, well,
Yeah.
because I lived half in Vegas and half in LA.
Yeah.
And so, like, living in LA, I paid a fortune for a shoebox. Living in Vegas, I got a nice bit of square footage, and I got to see everybody.
Yeah.
And even half of Cypress Hill, even like Sindog and their manager Trace, both moved to Vegas, and Snoop Dogg even moved to Vegas too. So, like, a lot of people started kind of getting out of the high taxes of California.
And you were just dealing with them on a normal day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
basically producing or cooking their,
Yes.
taking care of that stuff for them.
Yes.
So when you go around to do this, you have to find a high quality. Do you grow as well?
I dabble in it. I leave that to my brothers who are the professionals.
Okay.
Kenji
So
and Ash.
But you have a link, a direct
Grow house.
Yes.
lineage to
Yes.
it. Okay, so you have your own product, the grow house.
Yes,
so you can walk through.
and the starting product matters. So like pairing the best chef or a good chef with the best growers, because you make my work easier.
Sure.
If you're not the strongest cultivator, then and your stuff gets lower potency. The lower the potency means I have to put that much more oil in. And this as a chef, when your increments start going off,
Sure.
it messes your whole recipe up.
well,
You
because
gotta tweak everything.
Also, if you're adding more oil, you're probably getting it from a different extraction, so it's not going to hit the same way. Now you got two mixing.
There you go.
See,
Yeah.
chefing is chefing.
Well, and also what you do now in the business, because I don't think a lot of people realize the professional, you design and build kitchens.
Yeah.
So she actually
I
builds kitchens
I
for
build
this.
cannabis kitchens. I build
Yeah.
manufacturing kitchens, which is way complete opposite floor plan than a chef de cuisine kitchen.
Sure.
Because I'm working with things that aren't that high temp, And also, you have to have an assembly line, and you have machines and depositors, and
a lot of
stuff like
extraction,
that. And then you have the extraction lab, and that's a whole other baby. If I'm extracting with hydrocarbon, or if I'm doing ethanol extraction, or if I'm doing like a more artisanal form of extraction, like bubble hash rosin or something like that, like all matters matter.
Sure. All matters matter.
All matters matter.
I love it. All matters matter.
I think it's cool. I'm always fascinated. That's why I let you
awesome.
just talk.
I definitely
amazing.
want to experience this with you. So before
Yes,
you move on to your
that?
next part of life, I want to do this.
Guess what's happening in the Luce kitchen?
Hey, listen, I never said never said I would never eat it. I just don't smoke it.
See? There you go.
It could be a totally different experience in that sense. Like,
yeah, sure.
And is it a difference? Like, what's
and I appreciate that. And like I've chiefed with the best, like I've smoked fatties. When you hit Excalibur, that 6 foot bong that Cypress Hill tours, and then you throw up afterwards. You
hit it.
Yes.
You get your red boots on. It's fucking throw up time, baby.
I've definitely smoked the best. But now, like as of recently, like 2.5 years ago, I suffered a pulmonary embolism, so I can't smoke anymore, and I don't smoke. So I'm all edibles now, and topicals. So I literally just became I am the happy chef, and I'm Edible Dee. Always.
Nice.
Always. I love it.
Edible Dee.
And so talk about what you have coming out, because I know you have, you've worked on formulations for some of the biggest names in the industry.
Yes.
But you are getting some more of your own products.
I got my own products coming right now. I got Happy launching down in Florida, the Happy Chef products with my partners Eden down there. Welcome to the garden.
What's up,
nice.
Eden?
I like that.
Hey, Eden.
E-Dog.
I'll see y'all next month. We're going to pump it all out.
Isn't that place in Key West where everybody's naked? The Garden of Eden at the top.
Is it? No, hold on. The bar? There's a bar.
There's a bar where
I think it's
everybody's
called
naked.
That's
Just
where your
so
come
we're
out
all
parties
aware.
are
Don't
there.
We
wander
should
up
totally
there.
have the party there.
You should have the
I've got
launch
to call
party.
Via Nelson.
I'll show up. I ain't getting fully naked, but we'll get close.
You're right. That is the name of that bar in the Keys.
You gotta find
one
it.
mile,
We
one mile
gotta
Duval
find it.
Street. It's like in the middle.
Yes.
I know exactly
People
where it is.
wander in there not knowing what it is, and then they're like, oh,
Oh,
shit.
you find out real quick. But,
No laws. There's no reason
so
for
fun.
it.
No, it'd be fun. So
So fun.
so that's launching, and you
Yeah.
have your cookbooks that are still out there.
I actually have I have my third cookbook, which is it's a psychedelic cookbook that is called Follow the White Rabbit: The Happy Chef's Guide to Wonderland. And then I have, but the thing
Were you
that
high
I'm
when you wrote it?
Oh, I'm high right now.
Ask that question.
I love it.
But I'm very honored. I've actually been working on this baby for 5 years, and I'm working on it with an amazing doctor, and he's an MD, an anesthesiologist, and his name is Dr. Timothy Beckett. And he actually uses cannabis in his practices he works in rehab facilities, and he gets people off of benzos and opioids with using cannabis and anesthesia to kind of like put them under and get them through the worst detox, because it's the most painful for them at the very, very beginning. And then we put them on a regimen. So I'm actually co-authoring with him a textbook it's called Manufacturing Cannabis, The Art of Cannabis Alchemy. And that is due to be coming out next year. So
that's a big project, and you have to be specific.
That's a big one. That's 467 pages.
And it's got to be technical, precise.
Very technical.
You have a lot of eyes on it.
Yes,
You have
very
the whole
technical.
science world
I've
counting
got
on
doctors looking at it. I've got Madame Cannoli, Frenchy Cannoli. I have her husband's work. I've contributed to it. I'm also putting in in front of a lot of eyes, a lot of great minds before it even comes out. So right now it's in all editing.
So are you a pioneer in a sense? Are you pioneering this movement in a sense?
I don't call myself that. I've been called that, but I like to look at it as like I'm still a student. I'm always still a student.
That means you're a pioneer. So
I couldn't call myself a master. The whole term, like, it was so funny to me, like master grower, master. I'm like, damn, am I missing something? Master chef, master weed chef. Like, because even as a culinary professional, I don't care how many Michelin stars you have, like, you're still a student. We're still learning all the time.
I'm learning right now. You're high right now.
Learning.
I'm learning right now. So it's the same thing. This
I'm
is my
high and learning.
Of course.
High on learning.
It's an amazing thing, and talking to you about it is just even better. So,
like I told you, it's fascinating. Like
Yeah,
I love when you talk about it.
I love the fact you gave me the best compliment. I'm not even a weed person, but you talk about it in a way that you make me want to try it.
Well, you make weed smart and sexy. And that's very hard, like to make something to elevate it to the level where it's like it is an intellectual conversation, and people associate it with being like stoned and eating Cheetos all the time. Like you don't you're not elevating it to the conversation of medical use and treating people with diseases that can't inhale marijuana. So you're making edibles so they can actually alleviate pain because they can't take certain drugs or interactions, and you're offering a product that's natural and can be done the right way. But the sad part is, I mean, you know, there's always somebody who ruins it for fucking everybody.
There always is. There's always one.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, like, dosing is the utmost important. You know, and that's why, like, in my books, my books are very unscientific. Like, I put boiling points of your terpenes and their flash points of your cooking oils, or your smoke points, so you don't damage the compounds and then make something carcinogenic. Which could happen so quick and easy, you know. And you look at all these other cookbooks, and that's kind of like before I wrote my first cookbook, I got all of them. I got all the weed cookbooks there was, and I'm just all like, no one's giving me shit. They all have the same formula: 4 sticks of butter and an ounce of weed. Well, that doesn't tell me shit.
Yeah.
And you know, that's why everybody has a bad edible experience. And it's because, you know, you're sitting there and you eat that one brownie that you put like an ounce of weed. That one brownie is 500 milligrams. No wonder why Granny can't get Timmy to the soccer practice. You know, it's because this shit happens.
Too much.
It's too much. So you know, you have to at least educate yourself to know how to dose yourself. And you need that knowledge as a patient too.
Yeah.
So like, and I think knowledge and education is the most important thing that needs to come out, and it needs to be strong. That's why I try, when I do things like this with amazing people like you, I try to make sure that I at least touch on the science, at least talk about, give you some kind of knowledge to get you curious, to educate yourself, to possibly get you on more of, instead of a pharmaceutical path, more of a nutraceutical path, or more of a holistic path, and maybe this can help you.
Find something in it for you.
I think
find something in it for you.
Right.
Fascinating.
So when I was young, I liked doing drugs. Don't get me wrong. I just never smoked weed, and it's always been because I thought it might get in the way of my cocaine habit because it didn't smell the same. And I was like, you know, this doesn't smell the same. What is this? But you know, there's so many topics that you can talk about in how we went from how we just did it recreational, right, to, of course, now I'm completely clean on all, but that is one thing I just never smoked it. So I never had a recreational mindset for it. However, like she said, and thinking about it and talking to you about it, on the other end of it though, introducing it to food and things, I guess it could become recreational at that point, done right.
Yeah, done right.
But when you're doing it with food and having, now it becomes an experience with a side effect, a good one.
With a positive,
right.
Same as drink. I mean, it's your experience. If you're someone who
drinking,
can't
you can
have
drink
alcohol,
too much, and now you have alcohol poisoning.
Sure, if you're drinking
it's a natural
amazing
way to experience that.
Right, if you're drinking an amazing bottle of wine, there's a good chance you're going to walk into a wall.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the wine was not good. However, if I can eat a nice demi-glace with over a lamb chop with that been infused,
and feel that,
and I walk into the same wall, I didn't have to spend all the money on the wine. So you're getting the same deal back and forth. It's probably the best level of entertainment you can possibly have. I'm for it. I'm here for it. Let's cook.
I co-sign on D, all the above.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Well, tell everybody where they can find everything, because I know they need to know more knowledge. So.
All right. You can find me, guys, at Edible Dee on everything, and at The Happy Chef Co. on everything. That is my websites. That is my social medias, Instagram, Facebook, X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it now. Find me at edibledee.com and The Happy Chef Co. And then look for my happy products. They're coming to a state near you, because I am bringing happiness to you.
That's
organic.
it.
That is a promise.
Organic.
Everything is organic.
That is my promise.
It is my promise.
Well, Burnt Hands Perspective, all of our followers, listeners, appreciate you coming here. What an amazing day. We know you flew in. Your arms must be tired. And you're high up on
high.
it.
She always high.
High on life.
High in the sky.
We bid you adieu. Thank you so much for coming in. We're going to do this cooking, and we're going to film it, record it. Team stoked. We're all back here shaking our heads. This is time for this. And let's do it. Let's do it. So, ciao for now.
Ciao.
Ciao.